The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. Retold by Virginia Evans and Jenny Dooley. An Express Publishing Showtime reader at Level 4. Copyright Express Publishing. All rights reserved. Episode 1. A Good Friend. A merchant called Antonio lived in Venice. He had plenty of money, but he was not a very happy person. He was very kind, however, and many people turned to him for help when they were in trouble. He was always willing to lend people money when they needed it. People were happy to borrow money from Antonio because he never charged them interest. The people of Venice liked and respected Antonio, but his best friend of all was Bassanio. Bassanio was younger than Antonio and came from a good family. He did not have much money, but he had expensive tastes. Antonio was always happy to lend Bassanio money whenever he needed it. Bassanio had borrowed a lot of money from his friend over the years, but Antonio did not mind. Anything Bassanio wanted, Antonio would give him. The only person that Antonio did not get on with was Shylock, the moneylender. Shylock's job was to lend people money, and he charged them interest because he had to make a profit. People did not like paying interest, so they often borrowed money from Antonio instead of Shylock. Naturally, this made Shylock angry. Antonio thought that it was wrong to charge interest. They did not like each other at all. Whenever they met, they argued. One morning, Antonio was walking by the canal when he met his friend Bassanio.
Antonio, my friend, I must ask for your help again.
Bassanio said.
Of course,
replied Antonio.
You know I will help in any way I can.
I know I've borrowed a lot of money already,
Bassanio said.
But now I have a plan. If it succeeds, I will be able to pay you all I owe.
Antonio smiled. He knew his friend had met a beautiful woman.
Please tell me all about your plan,
he said.
In Belmont there is a very wealthy lady,
Bassanio said.
Her name is Portia. She is beautiful, and I know she loves me.
But do you love her too?
Antonio asked.
Oh yes, I do. I want to marry her.
Bassanio replied.
That's why I need to borrow money. I want to go to Belmont to propose. When we marry, I will be very rich. I will pay you back everything I owe.
Oh, Bassanio, I am not worried about that,
Antonio said sadly.
But at this moment I have no money to give. All the ships I own are at sea, and I have no money until they return.
Oh, I see. Of course, I understand,
Bassanio said. He tried to smile because he didn't want his friend to see how sad he was.
But I want to help you, and I will,
said Antonio more cheerfully.
You can use my name to borrow from a moneylender. Let us go and see what we can find.
Episode 2. A Dangerous Agreement. Antonio and Bassanio went to see Shylock.
So, you want to borrow 3,000 ducats,
said Shylock.
That's right, and we want it for 3 months,
said Bassanio.
My friend Antonio will help me pay it back.
But why does Antonio not give you the money now?
Asked Shylock.
All my money depends on my ships at sea,
Explained Antonio.
I will have money as soon as they return.
But that means your money is not safe.
Cried Shylock.
Storms might destroy your ships, or they might sink. They might be attacked by pirates who will steal everything.
Don't worry, you can trust my friend.
Said Bassanio.
Will you come and eat with us tonight? That way you can get to know him better.
I already know Antonio.
Said Shylock.
I will do business with him, but I will not eat with him.
Antonio and Bassanio looked at each other, but they did not say anything.
So, Shylock, can you lend us what we want?
Asked Antonio.
I do not usually lend or borrow with interest, but this time is different. I will borrow for my friend Bassanio.
Yes, you want to borrow from me now.
Said Shylock, looking straight at Antonio.
You are even willing to pay interest, is that right?
Yes, I will pay you interest if you want.
Said Antonio. Shylock thought carefully. He remembered all the times Antonio had insulted him and laughed at him. Now, for the first time, Antonio wanted something from him. Antonio was in his power. He realized that this was his chance to get his own back. He looked at Antonio for a long time.
No, I do not want interest from you,
he said slowly.
But let us agree to a little joke. If you do not repay me what you owe, I can take a pound of your flesh from whatever part of your body that I want.
Why, yes, of course. I will agree to that,
said Antonio. Bassanio gasped.
No! Antonio! Don't do that for me,
he cried.
Don't worry, my dear friend Bassanio. My ships will return very, very soon, and then I will have 3 times what we have borrowed. Let Shylock have his little joke.
So, Antonio, will you sign this agreement?
Asked Shylock.
I will lend Bassanio 3,000 ducats. You will pay me back within 3 months. If your ships do not come back to port, and if you cannot pay me back the money, I can take a pound of flesh from you.
He put the agreement on the table and handed Antonio a pen.
I will gladly sign it for my friend,
said Antonio. He dipped the pen in the ink and signed his name. Episode 3. Jessica's Escape. Jessica was sitting at her writing desk. She was writing a letter to Lorenzo, and from time to time she sighed. She looked up when Lancelot came into the room and smiled. For her, Lancelot was more like a friend than a servant.
Oh, Lancelot, I am very glad to see you,
she said.
I am so tired of living in this house. Nothing ever happens, and my father is strict.
She sighed again. She did not like her father very much. She knew that nobody in Venice liked him. This was because he lent money with interest, but also because they thought Shylock was mean and greedy. He seemed to love money more than people, and more than anything else in the world.
I want you to take this letter to Lorenzo,
she said.
But do not tell anybody about it.
Of course, my lady,
said Lancelot.
I will keep it a secret.
He put the letter in his pocket.
With this letter, you are helping me to escape,
Jessica said.
I am going to marry Lorenzo as soon as I can. And in this letter, I tell him about my plan. Soon, Lorenzo and I will be together. and I can forget all about this house. It's a terrible thing to be ashamed of your father, but I am. He is a horrible man, and I will be glad to leave him.
Lancelot left at once. He found Lorenzo, who was with his friends Gratiano, Salarino, and Salanio. They were talking quietly together. Lancelot gave Lorenzo Jessica's letter. Lorenzo read it and smiled.
Tell Jessica that I will keep my promise.
He said.
But tell her in secret. No one else must hear.
Lancelot nodded and walked away quickly.
Tonight Shylock will not be in his house.
Lorenzo told his friends.
Jessica will disguise herself as a boy, and she'll wait at home for us to come. She'll bring some of Shylock's gold and jewels. We'll have all the money we need, and we will sail with Bassanio when he leaves for Belmont.
That night, the four friends went quietly to Shylock's house. From her bedroom window, Jessica handed them down a box full of gold and jewels. Then she used a tree to climb down to the men waiting below. She could not look at Lorenzo.
I am embarrassed,
She said,
because I am wearing boys' clothes.
Don't worry, Jessica, my dear.
said Lorenzo.
I love you whatever clothes you're wearing.
It is true.
Said Jessica.
Love is blind, and lovers cannot see.
Now, my love, we must hurry. We haven't got much time.
Said Lorenzo.
Bassanio's ship is sailing very soon.
Episode 4. The Test. Portia's father had known that many men would want to marry her because she was both beautiful and rich. Before he died, he designed a test that only the perfect husband could pass. There were 3 boxes. The first box was gold, the second was silver, and the third was lead. The right box had a picture of Portia inside. Portia was sitting with Nerissa.
Oh, Nerissa,
She said,
I wish I could find the right man to marry.
But my lady,
Nerissa said.
there are many men who want to marry you.
I don't love any of these men.
Portia said sadly.
I want to be able to choose my own husband, but I cannot because of my father's test.
You know you must do what your father asked.
Said Nerissa.
He was a very wise and loving man. Only the man who loves you will pass the test, and this man will be the man you love.
But I already know the man I love.
Said Portia.
You know him too. His name is Bassanio. And, you know, I think he loves me too.
Then, if he tries, he will pass the test.
Said Nerissa calmly.
But first, the Prince of Morocco wants to try.
Said Portia.
And after him, the Prince of Aragon.
The Prince of Morocco arrived with his friends and servants. Portia brought him into the room with the 3 boxes.
You know, Prince,
Said Portia.
if you choose the wrong box, you can never marry, and you can never see me again.
Yes, I know, but I still want to try.
Said the prince. He went up to the 3 boxes and slowly read the writing on each one.
I will choose the gold box.
He said.
This is what it says. The man who chooses me will have what many men want. Many men want Portia, so this must be the right box.
He opened the gold box slowly. There was a piece of paper inside with these words written on it. All that glitters is not gold. Often have you heard that told.
I have chosen the wrong box. Goodbye, my lady.
He said, and left the room. Portia smiled.
That is good.
She said.
But here is the Prince of Aragon.
The Prince of Aragon looked at each box carefully.
The silver box must be the right one,
he said, smiling at Portia.
It says, the man who chooses me will have what he deserves. I am sure that I deserve you, Portia.
He opened the silver box and found the picture of a clown.
What is this? Is this what I deserve?
He cried. Portia said nothing, and the Prince of Aragon left quickly. Episode 5. The Perfect Choice. As the Prince of Aragon was leaving Portia's house, Bassanio arrived with Gratiano, Lorenzo, and Jessica. Bassanio was very happy to see Portia, and he wanted to do the test as soon as possible.
Oh, Bassanio, please, wait for a few days.
Portia said.
Do not try to pass the test today. I would like to spend some time with you, and if you fail the test, you will have to go.
Don't worry about the test, my dear,
said Bassanio.
I love you, and I'm the right man for you.
Portia sighed, but brought Bassanio into the room with the 3 boxes. He looked at them carefully and read the writing on each one. He looked up at Portia and smiled.
I'm going to choose the lead box,
he said.
It says, the man who chooses me must give and risk everything he owns. I will give and risk everything for you, Portia.
He opened the lead box. Portia held her breath.
I have found your picture, Portia. I have found it,
Bassanio said very quietly.
I love you dearly. Will you marry me?
Yes, yes, Bassanio, I will marry you.
Portia said.
I'm so happy that you will be my husband, the husband that I've always wanted. Take this ring, and know that I will love you forever.
Portia took a ring off her finger and handed it to Bassanio.
I will always wear this ring. I will never take it off,
Bassanio said, putting the ring on his finger. He looked up as Nerissa and Gratiano came to join them.
My lord and lady, I wish you every happiness,
said Nerissa.
and we want to tell you that we are happy too.
I wish you all the joy that you can wish.
Gratiano said.
And when you get married, I would like to get married also.
Of course, Gratiano,
Bassanio said, surprised.
if you can find a wife.
I have found a wife, and here she is. Nerissa and I wish to marry too.
Is this true, Nerissa?
Portia asked.
Yes, it is, my lady,
replied Nerissa.
Then we hope that you will be very happy,
said Portia.
Yes, and we can all get married on the same day,
said Bassanio. They were all very happy. Nerissa gave a ring to Gratiano and told him never to take it off. He promised her he would always keep it on his finger. Episode 6. Trouble for Antonio.